Yo, I have to make this video immediately. Let me grab a chair. So check. Alright, so I have to tell you the story, bro. This is why you should never, ever, ever back out or run away or back down from a job. If it gets stressful, you have to stay in there and stay in the fight until the end and give it your best. Here's why. If you get overwhelmed or you get intimidated in something in life that you know you actually want to do, you've been planning and preparing, you care about this, but maybe you feel insignificant or insecure. I just ate food on my face. And you feel like, am I really good enough to see this through and win and everything's going to be okay? Do I really actually even deserve this, right? So I want to tell you this quick story of how I learned this lesson. Powerful. Check it out. Come on. Oh, my doggy's in there. My little Yorkie. Okay, so before my business entrepreneur life, I've been a landscaper my whole life. But at night and on the weekends, I used to do music. And I was so obsessed with music. No matter where I lived, I had my own home studio, just like stuff from Guitar Center, but I was obsessed. Like I produced 6 albums, shot music videos and stuff. Most of it all sucked, right? I was having fun though. But here's the story. I'll get to the point. I was doing talent shows and music competitions and like all this stuff, and I wanted to be a freaking pop star. It was insane. So, but I started getting kind of good at this, and it was never that I could actually even sing that good. It was my stage presence, and it was something about, I don't know, but I always felt it was kind of unfair when I was winning these. See, I turned my head around because I got insecure. I always felt it was kind of unfair when I would win these karaoke competitions, like against tons of people and make money. And then I got a business manager and a personal manager. And then I got this, it wasn't like a big time, but it was a record deal. And I started doing shows all over the place. And I was incredibly insecure and I felt something was wrong. Like why? And maybe I was just the guy that I believed in it so much that people were too afraid to tell me that I sucked. That's probably the case. They're like, that guy's delusional. He's crazy. But I don't know. So I did this talent show once. It was friggin' at the mall. And there was like hundreds of people. And so I got on stage and I sang. And I got picked to go to the next round. Well, I go to the next round, and then I got picked to go to the finals. And now I'm at this, it's like a competition for the whole city. And now they're narrowing it down, and we're doing like these rehearsals. And so I'm like freaking working out. I'm landscaping all day. I'm going to a freaking dance studio, and I have backup dancers, and we're practicing routines to do at shows. I'm trying to finish my album. We're shooting these crappy, embarrassing, low-budget music videos. I'm doing vocal scales, riffs, runs, and trills. Basically singing lessons 4 to 5 hours a day at this point. And I was so obsessed, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to make it. And the real reason I was just running from my problems, and I didn't believe I had what it took to become successful. So I was chasing some big dream. Oh, I got to make it big time. There's some weird, insecure thing about wanting to be significant and just wanting people to love me. I wanted to be seen because I felt ignored as a kid. So that's probably a big part of the reason why I wanted to make it in music. I used to see some American Idol stuff. And I was like, whoa, I want to go on there and win. But you see some of these people, they can, the slang term is, they can blow. Like, these people can sing. I was the only white kid in an all-black church, and these people could sing so good that they're teaching me how to sing. And in between, like, the runs, the notes, I'd be, like, shaking my head, and they're, like, laughing at me. I was Brother Keith. Anyways, so with all of this backstory, I go to this competition, and I'm in the finals, and they took me to the side. the city and the founders of these people, this huge competition, they told me, you're going to win this whole thing. We're just letting you know ahead of time that we already know that you're going to win. You're going to perform at this city festival. You're going to be in the newspapers. And as soon as they told me that, something didn't seem right. Because there were people in this competition that definitely could sing better than me. So I don't know why the hell they were picking me. And I felt like all of a sudden like it was a big trick, like there was something fraudulent going on. And I got really suspicious. Maybe my business manager took them to the side and talked to them and somehow talk them into it, but that doesn't make sense. Anyways, I'm at the final, at this talent show rehearsal with the contestants, and we're singing. And then the track comes on for me to sing as part of the rehearsal. And this insecurity filled my whole body. And I became terrified. And the fear was so bad because I felt like, I felt like such an imposter that I started self-sabotaging. And right in the middle of the thing, everybody's there. I put the microphone down and I walked off the stage. And they're like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm out." And then as I was walking, something said, "Don't leave. Just stop. It's okay." But I was like, I had already started walking, and now they think I'm like crazy. So I'm walking out of this big auditorium, and I stopped. Like my energy was like, no, it's okay. Just do it. You can do this, Kalfas. You can do this, bro. I was like, well, I had already started walking, so I had to be consistent with my identity, with my bullshit. And I walked all the way out, and as I walked all the way down the hall, then I started to self-deprecate and self-sabotage. So I sabotaged the whole damn thing, right? And I knew at that moment, they're like, well, we can't even trust this guy to stay on stage if he does win. I knew that, right? That if I walked off that stage and caused a scene and just left in front of everybody, they're like, we can't let this guy win. Because, and there was a young man there who was singing. He had this like jazzy, soulful voice, very talented young man. And he could sing very good, and he was very talented. And I really believe that he was the best and that he should have it and he should win. It wasn't fair for me to win. It wasn't my time. I just knew this. And so I left. I walked off, and I never heard from them again. I sabotaged the whole situation, and I bounced. And I went home and I felt like crap, and it actually made me feel worse because, like I said, I self-deprecated, and then I beat myself up for doing that. But deep, deep, deep down inside, I knew that it was the right thing to do. Something wasn't right. But anyways, that young man went on, and he won the whole competition and everything, and I was actually genuinely happy. And then I went on and I did tons of more music, but I learned a powerful lesson. It wasn't just that day. It took a long time for it to set in. And it's changed my life. God wouldn't put you in a position or a circumstance unless he knew you could handle it. And I don't know what you're going through, or I don't know how tough your life is, but I can guarantee you've gone through some, or you're going through some tough things. We all do. But if you feel like self-sabotaging, or you sense it, I think that it's important to stop for a moment and take a breath and just wait for that feeling to subside and control your freaking emotions just for a minute and put it on your game face. And don't let that leak out. It's actually it's immature, right? It's not going to get you your way. It's going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. It's going to sabotage the situation. And if you're running a business and you lose your cool, I must have been 19. So at a young age, I was working landscape jobs, and I very quickly became a foreman, a supervisor. I was running crews and hiring and firing guys and pulling trucks and trailers. By the time I was 18, and I remember I was homeless. I lost my place where I was living, and I was sleeping in the work truck for a few months. And I was so upset with myself because I'm like, I'm such a smart guy and I'm such a hard worker. How come it was just a money issue. I'm like, I'm not making enough money to literally afford the down payment and the monthly rent for a place. Because even as a landscape foreman, and this is what drove me ultimately to start my own business, because there's just not enough money in a JOB, a just over broke, unless you have a dual income household, which is like you have a roommate or a partner, a spouse, a husband, a wife, or whatever, that are working together, and they're working their asses off to make sure all the bills get paid, dual income, right? Unless you make a lot more money. So I was so pissed off at my age listening to audiobooks of Zig Ziglar, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, hundreds of hours of motivational books and tapes and CDs, and especially out while doing lawn care in the hot summer, listening to people talk about higher your consciousness and become a multimillionaire and live your dream and all this crap. And yet, no matter how hard I worked, I wasn't making any more money. And then in the nights and the weekends, on the evenings, every day I was joining these multi-level marketing companies and putting on a suit and tie and going and standing in people's living rooms with a whiteboard, showing them the plan, trying to get them into our vitamin company or something. And I was so young, nobody took me any seriously. And I would get pissed off because I was like, I didn't have any credibility because of my age. I didn't have any real life credibility. Yet, and just for a quick tip, people that get into multi-level marketing businesses, a lot of the people that have success fast in that are people that already have a lot of connections, or they already have some clout in the community. They already are successful in life, and they have a great reputation with people, and so they can talk a lot of people, if it's a good business, to get into it fast. Like, they could build a business fast because they have some credibility behind them. But anyways, I had no credibility. So it's the middle of the summer. We're cutting this lawn, again, huge cul-de-sac. And I was so anxiously worked up and stacking all the negativity in my mind that I just flipped out. I literally threw the weed whip while I was weed whipping in the customer's bushes. And I ripped off my shirt. And I just started screaming the F word right in the middle. It's a sunny day. Birds are chirping. And I was like flexing and squeezing my fist going, F, F. And the guys that work with me, they knew me. They were just kind of like laughing, like uncomfortable. And then I was like, oh shit, what am I doing right now? This is really unprofessional. So I maintained my composure. And I just took off walking, and I disappeared. I walked all the way. It's like, go for a walk. That's what I would tell guys that work for me. If they're getting really frustrated and pissed off, I'd be like, dude, go for a walk. Just go for a walk. Now, go. It's okay. Go. It's okay. And then they would go walk around the block or something, and they come back refreshed. Like, relax, bro. But now it's like, you can't have anybody flipping out at all. Especially, I have this memory of, like, if there's a crew of guys working on a roof or something and they're swinging hammers, and once in a while you hear a couple of guys yell at each other or get in a little argument and some cussing goes on, and you just be like they good. Like, nobody cares. I don't know if it's times have changed or something, but I guess it wasn't too quite out of the ordinary. People could sense, oh man, that guy must be, I'm not making an excuse for myself, but pissed off. But what I'm saying, as you grow up, you have to learn to maintain your composure, put on your game face, control your emotions, and go get a gym membership or work outside in the sun, or find a way to be more composed, right? Because that's a true sign of maturity. But back to what I was saying, One second here. Oh, yeah, sabotaging. I wanted to get back to the point. So, here's what I learned. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. My wife can pick up on this. She'll be like, you're sabotaging right now. You're self-sabotaging and you're not even aware of it. I was like, no, I'm not. And I think about it. I go, is she right? Why would she say that? Is she gaslighting me? I think about it. I'm like, So we have this thermostat. It's like a financial thermostat. We have a thermostat on our success, on our worthiness. And anytime we start to become a little too successful, or we think we're too big for our britches, or we think we're, whatever those words mean, like we think that we really start succeeding and we spread our wings and take off and start flying and things start working, it becomes scary. Because this is it's a high place to fall from. Like, how is this happening? Is this because your identity, you don't always rise to the level of your standards, but you always fall to the level of your systems. That's the truth. But you're always going to be consistent with your identity. So you can work your ass off and you can get all the connections and do all the marketing and do all the right things. But if your identity is like the broke kid from the trailer park whose mom died or whose father was an alcoholic and people made fun of you because you were like always twitching and blinking your eyes because you were doped up on Ritalin. And that's funny. And I think of it. I was always one of the most popular kids in school, but I was always blinking. I mean, I had Tourette's worse than I do now. And why did I have so many friends? Everybody thought I was weird. They're like, why? People were like, why is that guy blinking all the time? Like, I would always blink. I had this one Tourette syndrome thing I would do in school when I was a kid. It was so weird. Actually, I don't want to show it to you because if you do it, you might get stuck doing this. I got a buddy, Matt Brown. He's an engineer. He has like mild Tourette, so I can't say that for sure because if he sees this, I love you, Matt. But sometimes when you're talking to him, he'll just kind of like go like this with his shoulder. Like, why are you doing that? Like, do you have a kink in your neck or something? But he'll do it repeatedly. I'm like, oh, it's like a tick, right? It's a tick. And I go like, so here's what I would do. I can't believe I'm showing you this. You see your nose? All right, cross your eyes and look down at the bridge of your own nose. Ready? You can see it, right? This is so stupid. Stick your tongue out so you can see your tongue. You can see your tongue, right? You can see it. Now, can you make your tongue? If you understand this, you have true OCD, Tourette syndrome. Can you stick your tongue out and go from left all the way to right, and you can still see your tongue as you cross the bridge of your nose, and without it going out of sight because your nose is blocking it, right? Watch. No, I couldn't do it. So I sat there doing this in I was probably like in 4th grade or something. And I was pissed off. What the fuck? What kind of video is this? Why are you even gonna follow this guy? What a nincompoop. Oh, fuck. Alright, I'm not a nincompoop. Alright. So, it took it took enough people, like, making fun of me. And I told my dad this once, and he's like, my son, my son is sitting in class going, and he's laughing. Here's another thing that happened once. I don't know why I have a lot of weird shame around this topic. It's not a topic, it's an actual thing. It's like, so I used to love Lamborghinis when I was a kid. Our green industry brother, Tigran Gertz, he bought a Lamborghini, bro. And I called him up. I said, bro, what is it like to have a Lamborghini? What does it feel like? Because it was my dream car. And he's like, yeah, it's freaking awesome. Of course, right? And so anyways, I would go to the auto show when I was a kid in Metro Detroit, is where I live, and I went right to the Lamborghinis, and I would get these big Lamborghini brochures, and I love Lamborghinis. They had like lime green Lamborghinis, and like I always wanted a white Lamborghini for some reason. Like my truck is white now. I like it because people like, you think a red Lamborghini is awesome, and a black Lamborghini. I mean, any Lamborghini, but I like those Lamborghinis that are like it's like a gunmetal gray. That's sweet. But a white Lamborghini for some. So anyways, there's this lime green Lamborghini, and in the picture, and I instead of paying attention in class, I would bring brochures of like Lamborghinis and stuff, and I would get like astrology books and look at the stars, and never paid attention. So I had this bubblicious bubble gum I was chewing, and for some weird reason I spit it out of my mouth because I was going to throw it away, and then I realized, whoa, the shame is coming over me right now. I realized the only other person I've ever told this to ever is my older sister. She's like, yeah, I remember you telling me that. Like, that's... So, I was in 5th grade, yeah. I had this bubblicious bubblegum. I spit it out of my mouth, and then I looked, and it was right next to the picture of the lime green Lamborghini, and the shade of lime green of the bubblicious bubblegum was identically, precisely the same exact shade of lime green as the lime green of the color of the paint job of the Lamborghini, like side by side. And for some weird-ass reason, my brain was like, oh, because you don't see that shade of lime green anywhere, but they were right there. And I became like enthralled by it, and I went into like this almost like manic state, and I started running around the classroom showing it to everybody. I was like, look, it's the same color. And I said something really weird. I said, I colored it myself. And the kids are like, oh, okay. What's Keith doing again? And the teacher's like, get out of here. Get out of the class. Like, you're kicked out of the class again. And then as soon as I got kicked out of the class, I became totally overwhelmed with like shame. And I felt so stupid. And so here's what I learned. There's a part of you that has these beautiful epiphany bridges. It's a genius inside of you that God gave you. Everybody has their own zone of genius. And some ideas you come up with, they're not practical, they won't work, they're stupid. Look at Elon Musk. This dude's putting rockets in the sky that are landing back right where they launched. Look at Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple Computers. Dude, this guy released the iPhone and all the stuff, and like the technology we have today is because of his insane, obsessive, prevalent vision of a prevalence for his technology. If you look at some of the greatest people to ever walk the earth and the bravest people that even died for us to be here right now, you have a genius inside of you. And that genius is who you really are. It's part of you, right? And it's so sometimes you can have like an impulsive idea, which is actually an epiphany bridge, where your subconscious mind just connects like 20 dots at once. It goes, and you go, whoa. And it's almost like what's the word? It's like a super conscious experience. I don't get into dabble in drugs or anything like that, but I've heard like people, what's that stuff that Joe Rogan talks about? I don't even want to say it on here, but they're like, whoa, and they can get these massive quantum leaps in their consciousness. And you could just do that through meditation, through calmness, through just sitting quietly, go for a walk in the woods. Or they say when you're taking a shower, you get these. When I take a shower, and I'll be giggling, laughing, because I get my biggest breakthroughs. Tony Robbins tells this story on personal power too. He had this epiphany while taking a shower. And he goes, oh my God, I got it. Just out of the blue. It like he downloaded it from the universe. And like 4 hours later, his wife comes home, and he's sitting on the couch, soaking wet with dried suds all over him. The couch is wet, everything. And he's got no clothes on. And he's like writing and writing. He's filled up a whole notebook, and his hands are wet. The paper's wet. And he's sitting there just like almost like in a daze, writing nonstop. Like time stopped, right? And his wife comes home, and she's like, what the hell are you doing? And without even hesitating, he turned. He goes, I just discovered the 6 human needs. I got it. And she's like, okay. Like, he discovered something that was profound that he's been teaching to people for millions and millions of people's lives have been transformed. Prevented suicides, got people off drugs, saved marriages, helped start businesses. Very powerful stuff, my friend. So if you get a beautiful transcendent idea that you know is good for you, it's good for others involved, it's good for the whole community, and it's good for the world at large, and it's even good for, like, after you pass away and beyond, it's just good. And all those boxes are checked. So, I mean, it's not some self-serving, selfish motive thing that's, I forgot the name. It's not this rapacious type of thing, which is mean. It's like just trying to get money for your own selfish advantage or something like that. That stuff doesn't work too long. But if you have these beautiful epiphanies and these breakthroughs, and you immediately take a step forward, and when it starts to work, you don't fricking self-sabotage. If you feel yourself self-sabotaging, stop that. That's not you. That might be an old part of yourself that was afraid, that no longer serves you. You deserve this. You deserve this. It wouldn't be in your heart. These goals and these aspirations and these dreams would not be in your heart. They wouldn't be planted in your soul if there wasn't some path to their achievement. And I'm telling you this as a testimonial because I've watched my dreams come true. I just got back from Nashville, Tennessee, and I just did a keynote talk at an event, and I met some amazing, powerful people. A lot of people, these people I have a lot of respect for too. And I met this man who was a Marine Corps sergeant. And he told me something amazing. It was very confirmational to me. He said he learned that when he was in the Marines, and these people served our country that were there too, and I'm very honored. I was very honored to meet them, and I have respect for them. Right, I'm very thankful. I should give them a shout out right now. Insulation Commandos, some great people. But this Marine Corps guy told me, okay, if you don't have a plan, you create a plan. And I heard this from a Marine Corps sergeant who changed my life back in the day. It's a whole different story. He said, if you don't have a plan, you create a plan, even if it's a crappy plan. And then you move forward confidently in the direction of that plan, and then you make little iterations as you go. You keep refining and adjusting it. As new data comes in, you keep refining the plan until it turns into a good plan. But you don't just sit there and wait and do nothing because you don't have a plan. You might be in the alligator pit. This might be dire straits. You have to move now, and you have to create a plan, and you have to keep freaking moving because people's lives could be at risk, or people that haven't even been born yet. This is very important. And if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? If it's meant to be, if it's meant to do, it's up to you. I like that. So you don't say, how can I kill two birds with one stone? You say, how can I feed two birds with one seed? You find a way to make it happen. The most resilient and successful people I know are the people who have been through the most adversity. You get to talking to these people. You talk to people that have $1 million businesses. You sit the husband and wife down long enough. It could be, I'm talking just an hour. And they sometimes they break down crying because they're really stressed out. So stop looking at other people saying, wow, they must have it all made. Bullshit. These people work their asses off to make ends meet and get it together and learn how to lead teams and learn how to do marketing and advertising and they find people who know how to do it, who have the skills if they don't know how. They keep moving forward confidently in the direction of their dreams, and they have breakdowns. But my whole point in all this, I'm going to wrap this up right now, is stop self-sabotaging. Stop sabotaging your business and all the great things that are in your life, because it's true. There was a time where you dreamed of being where you are right now. So you can take a deep breath and exhale and realize that there's one thing that actually changed my life a few years ago, and it actually made me more money too. If there's one thing you could do, they say that if you take a 1 by 1 by 1 little steel cube, take like a dice, and make it a metal cube and put it on a train track right in front of the first train's wheel. Stopped, right? The train isn't going anywhere yet. That train can not actually even take off and go forward. But if you remove that cube, the train can go. So this big, heavy locomotive train can't even take off. So identify the sticking points and things that are stopping you. And here's the one big thing I learned. Your worthiness is huge, but it's your ability to just let go and receive. If you don't feel worthy, it's hard for you to receive. Has anybody ever given you a gift and you're like, oh, thank you. You don't know how to actually just let your guard down and say, thank you. I really appreciate this. This is awesome. Thank you for this gift. I receive it gratefully, and it's an honor and a respect to receive this gift. I accept your gift. I receive it, and thank you. This is great. And then don't feel guilty like you have to give anything in return. You can if you want, but can you fully receive the gift? Ooh, I feel even a little uncomfortable with that right there, right? Because we live in a world of commerce where everybody has some type of like mental chalkboard with check marks of like, oh, you did this for me. I did it, like scratch my back and now I got to scratch yours. And like, it's great. But at the same time, I was saying, like, can you just let go and receive? If you just say, you know what? I receive. I'm not going to self-sabotage anymore. I'm here for a reason. I have to move confidently, even if I'm scared, put one foot in front of the other. I have a plan. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to keep moving forward. And a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And sometimes the hardest step to make is the first step. So just take one step, even if it's a crappy step, right? Say, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and open up the laptop and start working on this website. Or I'm going to make this call and just see if I can pitch this huge property maintenance management. If you want to like get into like a big HOA with your company or serve like some big commercial property, you want to get big jobs, basically. Just go try it. What have you got to lose, right? Here's another thing. Tim Ferriss, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek, said the most amazing thing. He goes, if something feels hard, ask yourself a question. What would this look like if it were easy? Right? See these little mental models and tricks you can do. They're not tricks. They're very real. Don't self-sabotage. You got this. Talk to you soon. I'm Keith Kalfas. I'll put all the links in the description below if you're listening to this on the Untrapped podcast. Thanks so much. Please leave a positive 5-star review. It helps the podcast on Apple and Spotify. We just crossed 850,000 downloads, 80 million views online, 4 published books. If you want me to speak at your event, keithkalfas.com/public speaking. If you want to talk to me on the phone, keithkalfas.com/call. If you want the free steps to marketing your business, I have a 7-step guide. called keithkalfas.com/7steps. We just launched my private coaching group called the Untrapped Alliance, keithkalfas.com/alliance. I'd love to see you on there. If you're subscribed to my YouTube channel at Keith Kalfas, hit the subscribe button. If you like my deep inner game talk and stuff where I pray and do Bible studies and talk about deep psychology and amazing stuff like that and the super conscious, go to I Am Ability on YouTube. If you're a window cleaner, go to my YouTube channel called The Window Cleaning Blueprint. It's awesome. We just crossed like 22,000 subscribers over there. I'm from Sterling Heights, Michigan. I have a landscaping business for 13 years.